If you're browsing homes in Hamilton and feeling discouraged by pricing, there's something that you need to understand. The price that you're seeing on the listing is just what the seller wants. It's not what the home is actually worth. It's kind of like when your uncle lists his lawnmower on Facebook Marketplace for $1,200, even though it's really worth $9 because he took good care of it. Right now in Hamilton, most listings are at least $50,000 overpriced, setting up buyers to overpay or to get discouraged or to walk away from potentially great deals. So let's fix that. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down why the list price can be misleading, how you can read between the lines, and what actually matters when you're shopping for your first home. My name is Steve Lopresti. I'm a real estate agent in Hamilton, Ontario. And if you're a first-time buyer and you're feeling like you've been priced out of the market, or you're not really sure what a fair market offer would be in Hamilton, I get you. This market is tough to decode, but you don't have to figure it out alone. Every week I help buyers just like you make smart offers on their first home so that they don't overpay and that they're actually happy with what they end up buying. Reach out using the info in the description and let's map out your home buying journey together. So what is the listing price really? When you see a home that's listed for $749,000, it's easy to assume that that's what it's worth because that's the price that's being advertised. Just like when you go to Walmart to buy a TV, if it says it's worth $300, you don't go up to the cash register and they tell you, it's actually $400. That would be insane. Like nobody would be able to buy anything ever if that was the case. But real estate doesn't work the same way. The price that you're seeing on a listing is what the seller wants to get for the house. It's not what the home is actually going to sell for. Now, sometimes that number is driven by market data, but other times it's driven by maybe a different strategy that the seller's trying to use. It could be driven by emotion or just blind optimism. A seller might say, I need at least $800,000 for my home in order for my move to make sense, and then their agent lists it accordingly. But in reality, it might really only be worth about $750,000. Now, some agents will also intentionally overprice the home in order to either satisfy their clients' expectations or to test the market, even if the data doesn't support it. A lot of sellers will think, well, maybe if we overprice the home, some random rich guy will blow into town and just grossly overpay for it. On the flip side, you'll also see some listings that are purposefully underpriced in order to generate a bidding war. So either way, the list price should be looked at less of an actual hard number and more of a marketing tool. If you're basing your understanding of what's happening in the market solely on list prices, you're going to be pretty confused. You can see 3 homes with roughly the same market value with completely different list prices. You can see one that's priced fairly reasonably according to the market. You can see one that's priced really, really high and one that's priced really, really low. When you're looking at just this, it might seem that prices are wonky and they're all over the place. But that just means that each seller is using a different strategy and each one has different expectations for how the sale of their home is going to go. And this is why buyers get tripped up. They're making their decisions based on what they're seeing out in the marketplace, which is fairly reasonable. They're seeing a bunch of homes listed at certain prices and that's what they are basing their decisions off of, but it's really not that close to the actual reality of the situation. Like, for example, imagine you were buying a used car off of Kijiji. You see there's a used Honda Civic there, and the guy posted the ad for $20,000. Just because you see that ad doesn't mean that that's actually what a Honda Civic of that year and mileage is worth. It's just what the seller wants for it. And a lot of times they usually list it high because they expect to be negotiated down. So if you want to determine the actual price, you would look at what does a 2017 Honda Civic with 200,000 kilometers on it sell for? And that is what you would use when you're communicating with this seller about purchasing his Honda Civic. Real estate is exactly the same way. What matters is what buyers are willing to pay, what the market value is, not what the seller wants for it. So now imagine you're scrolling through House Sigma or Realtor.ca. You see a bunch of listings, one at $749, $799, one at $850, and you think to yourself, this market's insane. I'm never going to be able to afford anything. But what you're seeing doesn't actually tell the full story because a lot of those homes won't sell at those prices, and some of them won't sell at all. Many of them are sitting on the market for weeks, sometimes months, before they end up selling at a much lower price. I've seen homes that dropped their price several times before finally getting an offer that sticks. And the ones that do sell quickly a lot of the times are underpriced and they end up selling for over asking. This inconsistency is what drives buyers crazy, and I don't blame them. One house is listed high, sells low, another one's listed low and sells high. It's like, what the hell's going on here? It's like trying to play a game of poker while you're blindfolded, while half the deck's missing, and your cousin's dog keeps biting at your leg. The good news is, though, when you're buying a house, you don't have to go in blind. The real numbers are out there, and once you start looking at sold prices instead of list prices, things start to make a lot more sense. If you want to know what a home is actually worth in today's market, not what it was worth back during COVID, which is what a lot of sellers are thinking about, the best thing that you can do is look at what similar homes in that area have actually sold for. And you want to ideally go back around 30 to 90 days to find that information. This is what real estate agents call a comparative market analysis, or CMA. It's basically a side-by-side comparison of different properties based on size, location, layout, different finishes, lot size, various factors like that. It's your best tool for figuring out what a home is actually worth and to avoid overpaying, because you can figure out what the market value for that home is, what have other buyers paid for a home that is similar to that one. And the key is the time frame as well. You don't want to go back several years. You want to go back at most a couple months, depending on obviously the property type, location. If it's a little bit more of a niche property, there's not too many comparable properties like it, then you can go back a little bit further to find ones that are similar. But if you're buying in a relatively busy area with a lot of homes that have sold, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to go back 30 to 90 days. This matters now more than ever because a lot of sellers are pricing their homes based on last year's market, and the market is changing quite rapidly. When you're reviewing the sold data, here's a few things that you're going to want to look at. The first thing you're going to want to look at is the days on market. How many days did it take for the home to sell? That can tell you a lot about buyer demand at that particular price point. Next, you want to look at the overall condition of the home. Did it need some work? Did it have upgraded finishes? Was it a bit run down? These are all going to be factored into your price. Then you're going to want to look at the square footage and the layout, because unfortunately size does matter, and the layout is going to also have a big impact on it. A 3-bedroom townhouse is going to be quite a bit different than a 3-bedroom bungalow. Then you want to look at the lot and the outdoor space, right? Obviously, something with a larger lot is going to have more appeal to it. If there's a pool in the backyard, that's going to have an impact on the price as well. And then finally, and perhaps the most important one you're going to want to look at, is the location. Is it near a busy intersection? Is it near some schools? In Hamilton especially, the values can shift quite a bit block to block. When you look at all these details from the sold listings in the previous months and you add it all up, you start to see some patterns, and that's where the smart buyers can gain an edge. When you know what a home is actually worth, that's how you avoid getting into bidding wars and getting emotionally attached to something and overpaying. So when you see a home that's listed at $799, you know based on your research that it's actually worth $735, and you can make your offer accordingly. Or on the flip side, let's say the home was listed low, it's at $799 as well, but it's actually worth $870, and you know that that's maybe outside your budget, and therefore it's probably not worth the time and you should just move on. And if you're working with a realtor who knows the area, they'll do this analysis for you before you even put in an offer. This is a really important step. It's how you find a house that you'll actually like without regretting the price later on. Now, if all of this feels a little bit overwhelming, you're not alone. This exact confusion is why I created something for buyers just like you. It's called the First-Time Homebuyer Survival Guide. It walks you through the entire process step by step, how to prepare yourself financially, what to look for when you're viewing homes, how to make sense of mortgages, budgeting, hidden costs, all that nice fun stuff. It's written specifically for first-time buyers in Ontario, and it'll help save you from learning the hard way. You can grab a free copy of that using the link down in the description, and once you read through that, you'll be in a much stronger position to spot actual value in homes and how to avoid mistakes. So now that you know that list prices can be misleading and what you want to be doing instead, let's sum this up. So the first thing you want to do is to ignore the list price. It's not the true value of the home. It can sometimes offer insights into what the seller is thinking, but it's not the be all end all. The next thing is to trust your realtor to help you actually determine a home's real value. If you're working with an agent, especially one who knows the Hamilton market, you should be getting a breakdown of the home's value before you even write an offer. And the last thing is to make offers based on what you are comfortable paying, not what the market says the home is worth and not what the seller says the home is worth. If there's a home that you see that you like, but it just seems a little bit out of reach, it never hurts to throw your hat in the ring. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, but what happens oftentimes is that you actually get a counter offer from the seller at a price that's a little bit more aligned with what is reasonable or gives you more of an insight into their expectations. And in some cases, they actually accept your first offer. So you never know unless you shoot your shot. And in this market, it doesn't hurt. So if you're thinking about buying a home in Hamilton and you'd like some advice about what a home is actually worth, you can reach out at any time. My contact info is down in the description, and I'd love to help you out. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like and hit that little button with my face on it right over here to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other ones like that. Then you're going to want to check out this one right there for some more real estate tips and first-time buyer advice for buying a home in Hamilton. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.